Brewing Company. You're here for Ryan's Beer Reviews. Let's see what's on tap today.
Hey beer tubers, Ryan back with another episode of San Diego Beer Vlog. Thanks for joining me once again. Today I have another Stone beer. I'm finally getting to reviewing Stone's Cali-Belgique IPA. And the reason why is I've been waiting for a fresh bottle, and when I saw this one it couldn't get any fresher. The enjoy by date is 90 days ahead of when it was bottled, and I picked this up a day after it was bottled, so it doesn't get any more fresher than that. I'm going to throw it into my Stone Cali-Belgique IPA glass as well. So let's get this thing cracked open. Now you just saw me do the double dry hop version of Stone IPA. Now the Cali-Belgique is literally just that same IPA, well not double dry hop, but Stone IPA but with Belgian yeast. So it's also a 6.9% IPA. And I believe that's the only difference for this beer, is just the fact that Belgian yeast is replacing their house yeast. Well, this is probably their house Belgian yeast, but replacing their house yeast tends to be slightly English-like in its characteristics. So pours very clear, just nice golden color. Got about a finger of pretty white head on there. Can smell it coming in the glass already. Decent amount of carbonation coming up. You know, prototypical looking West Coast San Diego IPA. Let's get the nose on it. Ah, yes. Yeah. The hops are there, but that yeast does come through. You can definitely smell the yeast. Still a lot of yeast esters. Hop-wise, or aroma-wise, it tends to be a little sweeter than the regular IPA. I mean, I still get like sweet orange in there, some grapefruit, but you have this like kind of quasi like tropical fruit Belgian kind of note coming, sweetness coming through, like some breadiness. Very slight touch of like a spice note in there. To me, it's not as like resiny as the regular Stone IPA on the nose, but really sweet, kind of, you know, West Coast, but with that Belgian yeast character kind of underneath. It kind of makes it a sweeter aroma. So let's dig in. Cheers. Oh yeah, that's good. Gotta love it when a beer is really fresh, especially hoppy beer. Up front, hit with the bitterness. To me, this one, you know, it's not the most bitter IPA out there, but it has a lot of hops up front. Kind of follows the nose. But then halfway through, you get the Belgian yeast character. There's actually more of a spice character in the flavor. Like midway through, you start to get like a slight peppery note in there. And then it finishes really dry, although the regular Stone IPA is a dry beer as well. All those hops. It's a very kind of clean tasting beer. Not a whole lot of after flavor. Up front, get very slight kind of tropical fruit notes. Very slight. Little bits of like a peach in there. Maybe kind of into mango. Very just kind of slight. Right before you get some of the more kind of piney, bitter grapefruit, sort of resiny kind of bitterness. And then as soon as that kind of fades away from attacking your tongue is when the Belgian yeast really kicks in, which leads to that kind of spicy, bready finish. So it's, I guess, less of the hops through the mouthfeel than, say, the Stone regular IPA, which is pretty much hops most of the way through. So if you ever wondered like how important yeast is to a beer, and especially with Belgian beers, it's pretty obvious what the yeast does. And just by adding Belgian yeast though to an IPA, it just completely changes how the beer drinks. So if you're interested in brewing or just learning about, you know, different types of yeast and how they contribute to beers, this is a perfect example of a beer where all you're doing is just changing the yeast. Everything else is the same, and you get almost a completely different drinking beer. I mean, up front it's just okay, yeah, Stone IPA. Oh wait, it's not quite as resiny, and then boom, midway through it goes almost completely Belgian on the way out, except for a little bit of a lingering bitterness carrying over. But big time spicy breadiness on the notes, tasting notes that you get, and it makes for a really interesting beer. So as I drink on this one more, the bitterness is kind of increasing on the front of the tongue, and I think what happens is your palate kind of just gets more attacked by those hops. They kind of keep growing and lingering more and more the faster you drink it, and that kind of transitions into the pepperiness of the yeast, and it kind of makes it seem like it's a lot more bitter than maybe it was earlier on when I was kind of sipping on it. But it really works for me. I like the yeast character I'm getting on it. I mean, it's not the greatest kind of yeast character for a Belgian IPA, but it really works with the hop profile of the beer, and it's fairly cohesive in how it drinks as well. It's just that as I drink on it more, I think the yeast almost dominates a little bit more as you go, and it'd be nice if that was kind of kept in check a little bit more with the hops up front. So this used to be a seasonal beer or like a one-time produced a year, but now I think they just kind of brew it when they can make it. So make sure to check the bottle date on these things. Yeah, I do recommend it probably drinking fresh, even though it's a Belgian beer. It could be aged, you know, it's close to 7%. The hops are really going to fade. But I think you want to drink this one as fresh as you can get it with the big hop character up front. I think that's the way to really drink this one. So it's going to wrap it up for Stone's Cali-Belgique IPA. I'm going to go B+ on this one. I don't think it quite gets to an excellent range for me. I really do like the regular Stone IPA, and the Belgian yeast is a nice kind of interesting change of that beer. But yeah, it just gets to be maybe a little too peppery, a little too yeast dominated the more I drink it. But it's really definitely above average beer, and it's really close to being an A beer on my scale. But yeah, check it out if you can get a fresh bottle of this one. And until next time, please comment and subscribe. Cheers.